I've been reading this book in the Bible called Proverbs, and it's written by the wisest man who ever lived, apparently. His name is King Solomon. And regardless if you believe in the Bible or you're atheist or whatever, I think there's a lot to learn from this book. And the one part that stuck out to me today was this verse where it said, "Fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline." And I was like, whoa, that's kind of intense. And I looked it up because fear to me is not something I've really felt of the Lord before. I didn't really understand why you would want to fear someone that you love. For me, I started researching it, and fear actually doesn't really translate well from the original Hebrew, which is a word called yirah. I don't know if I pronounced that properly. This word apparently translates to something completely different. It actually means like this deep respect or awe or reverence or honor of God or admiration. And it translates so differently from the anxiety or fear that we know in the English language. And I think it makes so much more sense. And before I talk about that, I wanted to talk about knowledge, because I didn't think that knowledge and wisdom were the same thing, and I still don't. But later in Proverbs, it was cool when I was doing a bit of research into this, that the verse is actually repeated, but instead now it says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So it's cool to me because I don't think wisdom and knowledge are the same things, but it seems like this fear, this reverence of this majestic God that is all-knowing and all-powerful and literally is, just incomprehensible to even understand his power, leads to knowledge and wisdom, which I really want. I don't want to be like the fools who do not want wisdom or discipline. I think that's not a good place to be. And I think this whole idea of the fear of Lord, I've been thinking about this a lot recently. It really doesn't come from a place of fear, but like the Hebrew word, it comes from a place of admiration and love. And what I fear now, or I'm beginning to fear more and more, is what life would be like without God in my life now. With God, if I'm chasing him and chasing after him, I want to live more like him and what he commands and what he writes about. I don't want to live away from God because I feel like I've been there before and it feels like darkness and I feel lost and I don't know what my purpose is and I'm struggling in life. I am by no means wise, and I pray that I fear the Lord more, or I yirah the Lord more. But I can understand a little bit, maybe just a fraction of what this verse is trying to say. But it's super cool. I'm pretty keen to keep reading Proverbs. It's quite an interesting book, so much going on. And this guy Solomon is literal king, ruler of nations, and had everything he could ever want. And God asked him, like, what do you want? And he said, I want wisdom. So seems like an interesting guy to learn from.